Welcome to the Jake and Steve Show! To start off this episode of the Jake and Steve Show, we will go over the devastating recent events in Paris, France, regarding the ISIS militia group. The coordinated terrorist attacks that occurred Friday, November 13th, 2015. These attacks were sporadic and random, but took many innocent lives in the process. During these attacks, the terrorists took the lives of 129 people, and more are being treated for life-sustaining injuries. To retaliate, France sent 10 fighter jets that dropped a total of 20 bombs at ISIS command posts and training facilities.
Because of these traumatic events that have taken place recently, we are going to do a French-themed podcast. Going back just a few hundred years is the storming of the Bastille. Steve and I will be arguing about if the storming of the Bastille was a good thing or a bad thing. And just in case you guys don't know what the storming of the Bastille is, Steve will explain before we start.
For the people that don't know what the storming of the Bastille is, I will quickly run through it. This happened in Paris, France. The Third Estate or the National Assembly are standing up for themselves against King Louis XVI and the First and Second Estates. Even though that King Louis XVI did not want to raise the tax on the Third Estate, he was forced to by the First and Second Estate. King Louis XVI lost power because he was trying to fix the national debt that he created with his lavish spending. And since the First and Second Estates didn't want to be taxed, they had to overtax the Third Estate and make up for the tax gap. So because they were taxed so highly, they grew fed up with the First and Second Estate and attacked the stronghold of Paris to take weapons and ammunition to defend themselves.
I will be arguing that the storming of the Bastille was good for France, and Steve will be arguing against me, saying that the storming of the Bastille was bad for France. So I will start. The storming of the Bastille was good for the people of France because it truly helped the Third Estate. They were the only estate taxed and only got one vote, and they were 97% of France. So because they attacked the Bastille, they were able to better equip themselves with weapons so they could start a revolution and get more power politically.
The storming of the Bastille had some positive effects, but more negative effects that outweighed the good. The storming of the Bastille showed how dangerous and erratic that the people of France had become. They were rebelling against the government of France and the very country that has protected them from the outside world and the enemies of France. That directly went against King Louis XVI and his orders, and that he was forced to give due to the fact that he became a weak and feeble ruler. The actions of the National Assembly took were drastic and life-threatening for them and all the other citizens in France.
I see where you're coming from, but because they stormed the Bastille, they sparked the start of a revolution. It showed to the people that they are more powerful than the First and Second Estate.
But during the battle, the loss of life was far less for the French military as for the Third Estate. I feel as though that the military could have easily outpowered the insurgents, but they let the National Assembly win so that equality and peace could be brought back to France once again.
Because this argument is so close, we're going to ask our guest John to state his opinion and why he thinks so. So John, what do you think?
I think that the Battle of the Bastille was a very positive and important turning point during the French Revolution. Even though it was only in the beginning of the moderate stage, it was one of the key points in this revolution. It showed the determination of the National Assembly by them trying to take on a foe much larger and powerful than them.
That's a good point, John.
Wow, John, that's a good point. I guess you never really thought of it that way before.
Well, I guess this wraps up today's episode of the Jake and Steve Show. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Don't forget to tune in next time on the Jake and Steve Show to see who would win, Darth Vader or Vladimir Putin.